As chair of the Guilford Select Board, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by Governor Scott as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and pursuant to Addendum 6 to Executive Order 01-20 and Act 92, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. In accordance with Act 92, there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting. However, in accordance with the temporary amendments to the open meeting law, I confirm that we are taking the following 4 steps. We're providing public access by video conference with additional access offered through telephone. We are using for our video conferencing Google Meet for this remote meeting. All members of the Guilford Select Board have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through this platform, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if desired, participate in this meeting by going to the following URL: https://meet.google.com/ N as in Nancy, HO-IKZC-ETJ. We've also provided public notice of how to access this meeting. We previously gave notice to the public of the necessary information for accessing this meeting, including how to access this meeting using the telephone, and we've also posted it on the town website at guilfordvermont.net. Telephone access is available by calling the following number: 617-675-4444, and using the following PIN: 364-536-869-2597 pound. We are also providing a mechanism to alert the public body during the meeting if there are problems with access. If anybody does in fact have a problem, please telephone the following number: 603-558-0891. And finally, we will continue the meeting if necessary. In the event the public is unable to access this meeting, it will be continued to a time and place certain. Given that it is a remote meeting, we are taking the roll. We are taking all votes by roll call, and I shall start the meeting, which has officially been opened, by taking the roll call now. Veranda.
Aye.
Rusty.
Here.
Michael. I know you're here.
Hi there.
I
I'm
see
here.
you.
I'm standing on power.
Zon.
Here.
Okay, and Richard is here. Thank you very much. And I'd like to recognize that we do have the public here. I see the faces and the names of Sheila Morse and Sarah Rossow and John Gagnon. Welcome to the Guilford Select Board meeting of March 22nd. The rules of procedure, which are on Peter Rood's desk in his office, basically govern how the public and the Select Board interact. The basic premise of those interactions are that we interact with each other with civility, and we wait to be called upon when you have a question or a comment, and we talk to each other very carefully. Brenda, did you have a question about the rules of procedure?
No, I just wanted to point out that Don is here.
Oh,
Don
Dawn
McLean.
is here too. Hi, Dawn. Yes, I thought I mentioned you. I'm very sorry. That was not deliberate. Are there any additions to the agenda?
I do not have any, Richard.
I do have one. I would just like to very quickly talk about the results of the canceled hearing that we were going to have. And so I will add that to the agenda, and that would be under old business B, I believe.
Yep, that sounds good.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Are there any changes to the agenda order this evening?
I have none.
Okay, anyone else? Thank you. Then I would ask for the minutes to be approved. I know that you've all read the minutes. And do I have a motion? Veranda has motioned. Is there a second? Zahn has seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, I shall take the roll then. Miranda,
Aye.
Rusty,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
Zahn,
Aye.
Richard, aye. So that motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Highway update and the two-way radios. Peter, please.
Yep, I'll start with just a brief update. I spoke with Dan and a couple of the road crew today when they were out doing some work, and Dan was saying that with the nice weather that we've been having, they've been spending most of their time working on repairing roads. As initially he thought mud season was going to be pretty bad. We had a few unpleasant days, but overall it's been a lot better than he was expecting, with the ideal sugaring weather that we've been having with warm during the day and cool at night. Dan is explaining to me that that's really the best situation we have for our roads to come out of winter without having a bad mud season. So they've been grading, hauling sand and gravel, and making sure the culverts are clear for all the melting snow. And that's about it for that. On the other topic, on the new two-way radios, as the select board knew previously, about 2 years ago, our radio license for the highway department had expired. And in the process of working that out, discovered that the radio license that we previously had been taken over by the state of Vermont up in Waterbury. And we attempted to work with them to have a concurrent license down here, and they declined our request to do that. And so we had to apply for and were assigned a new license number from the FCC. However, our new license is for a much weaker signal than we had previously. So that's been proving to be slightly problematic in communication for the road crew in various parts of town, in particular Green River and Packer Corners and down in the Slate Rock and East Mountain Road areas have been difficult because our radio antenna is at the garage. So with this, and for many years, Dan had been wanting to install a repeater antenna, which he did at the highest point on Sweet Pond Road. We did that earlier this spring, and that has been helping. The unfortunate thing is that the radios in all of the trucks and equipment that the town currently has are over 30 years old. And many of the radio systems, obviously, over that amount of time have changed. The biggest one of which is that most radios are now digitized. And many of the digital radios are backwards compatible with analog radios, but it's more difficult for the analog radios to communicate with those, such as the town of Brattleboro or Halifax, who just upgraded their radios recently. It's hard for our crew to be able to communicate with them as well as with our first responders in town. So Dan had a quote was given to us by R&R Radio over in Keene. We went through this similar situation 2 years ago, in that unfortunately there's really not much of an option in our area for companies to provide these services. We do know there's one down in Worcester, Mass, and back in at that time they declined to provide a service up here in southern Vermont. And there is another company up in north central Vermont who are too busy to provide us. So in the consideration of this, because of the total cost is $13,650 for all radios in all equipment, as well as at Dan's office, at the garage, as well as the radio in the town office. The select board would have to make an exception to the town purchasing policy. So that's it.
So Peter, do we need two motions then? One, to make an exception to the town purchasing policy, and secondly, to approve the purchase of the radios?
That would be correct.
Okay. So do I have a motion regarding the town purchase policy? Veranda, yes.
Yes, I move that we make an exception to the town's purchasing policy because of the importance of this.
Okay, yeah, could we also say in that, and because of the difficulty of finding vendors in the area?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Do you approve of that, Miranda? Okay, thank you. Do I have a second?
Is the exception is that we're just not getting multiple bids? Is that what the exception is?
Yes. So
Okay. Yeah.
for any bid above $2,500, the town policy states that we should get 3 bids. But the town policy also gives the select board the authority and ability to make an exception to that and go with a sole source vendor.
And
So
one
we're
more
just-
question. I mean, I'm generally in favor, but what fund does this come from?
Oh, that's a great question, Michael. And I shared that information with the select board in the folder over the weekend. So, and this will also be further positively impacted by the conversation a little bit later in the meeting. But right now, the Highway Reserve Fund has just over $290,000 in it. And I would recommend for the select board to, if you're going to approve this purchase, to take those funds out of the Highway Reserve Fund, as those funds can only be used for highway uses. And as you'll see in the conversation later on, that amount is actually going to be increased with the likely transfer of surplus from last year. So that's, I think, the best location for it to come from.
So can I count on you for a
I'll make the
second,
second.
Michael? All right,
Yeah.
Michael seconds. Is there any further discussion? Any discussion? Okay, I'll take the roll then. Miranda?
Aye.
Okay, Rusty?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Zahn?
Aye.
Richard? Yeah, aye. So that the motion to make an exception to the purchasing policy is now in effect. And then I'd like to have a motion to purchase the radios on our highway crew and superintendent's commissioner's recommendation.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Michael. Do I have a second? Zahn seconds it. Is there any discussion? Excellent. Veranda?
Aye.
Rusty?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Zahn?
Aye.
Richard? Aye. All right, so we have new radios for the town. Thank you very much. I think that will be
Thank you.
a terrific improvement in terms of the highway, our very precious and important and wonderful highway department's ability to communicate with each other and with those who are not driving through the middle of a blizzard.
I will communicate with Dan. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Okay, new business, Guilford Central School Story Walk. Are you talking to that, Sarah? Okay, and
Yeah,
can I ask you to?
I am here to talk about that. And
Can I ask you to keep your remarks to no more than 10 minutes, please?
yes,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And John Gagnon is here to discuss this with me as well. So John,
Okay.
feel free to jump in at any time. So I wanted to give a tiny bit of background about the story walk at Guilford School, just so everyone knows what I'm talking about. And then I have a request because part of it is on town land and we have a proposal about it. So I'll just start by giving some background so everyone knows what I'm talking about, but I'll keep it really brief. I have a little presentation with some pictures that I thought might be helpful for people to see. Is it possible for me to share my screen?
Sure.
Okay. I've never done this on Google. I've only done this on Zoom. Do I press present now?
Yep, just press now, Sarah, and it'll ask you to select a tab or somewhere else in your computer, and then you should be able to present.
Okay, I'll try to see if I can get this to work. And I will keep it short. Okay, it says I am
Looks successful
presenting
so far.
Okay, great. Can you see this?
Yep.
Yes.
Looks good.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so this is the Guilford Story Walk. This is what I'm talking about. This is in the field between the school and the town office, and we put up a different story every month at minimum. Sometimes every 2 to 3 weeks we change the story. And so far, what we have are just these stakes with Velcro and laminated story pages. And we have about 34 posts, and it goes around the perimeter of the field, pretty close to town office, and dips into the woods and loops around the field. We want to make some changes to that. But just to tell you what it is that it's a chance for us to share stories with kids in the community in a fun and interactive way, combining literacy and outdoor time and physical activity. And the librarian and I started it last fall with some grant money. And we've chosen some specific themes that our stories are usually related to, which are health and farming and food, nutrition, equity and diversity, seasons and nature, stuff like that. And then so classes at the school, generally the pre-K through third grade is the most popular with, but sometimes we have stories geared towards the older classes. So it's utilized by classes during the week and by community members on the weekends. And it's in a very accessible location, easy for community members to find it and utilize it on weekends. And I don't need to go through all this now. Maybe I can share this with you later, but I did hear from a number of community members who do not have kids at the school, but who do use it with their kids and grandparents and really appreciate it and value it. And so we would like to make some changes. What we have found with our current model was kind of a test run because it's not a very permanent installation, but we wanted to see if we liked the location and if it got a positive response from the community. And I did get, because it was a temporary installation, I was able to put it on town land with Peter's permission. But now we would like to go with a more permanent installation. And part of it would still be on town land if you approve that. If not, we'll just put it on school land. But it's nice to have it kind of spread out over a big space. So what we're proposing is a more permanent installation similar to one of these pictures that would have a wooden post, some plexiglass to protect the story from the weather, and it would have 2 pages on each post, so we'd have half the number of posts. And so what we found with is that the Velcro does not hold up in the winter. Not surprising, even though we got industrial strength Velcro, it doesn't work in the winter. So we were not able to have it up year round, which we really would like to do. And so this model would allow us to have it up year round and just have it be more protected and more, I think, more appealing too. If it is more visually attractive and more obvious that something is really there, I think it will get more use from the community. And right now, you can drive by the field and not even know that anything's there. But I think this would draw people and pique curiosity. And so those are our proposed changes. And then the new location, as I was saying, currently it goes all the way around the edge of the field. We found that it goes pretty close to the town clerk's office currently and close to the parking lot, which has created problems with posts getting buried by the snowplow. So we've learned our lesson about that. And then it dips into the woods a bit here and then goes around this way. Can you see my mouse right now?
Yep.
Okay, so what we would like to do is start it in the same place and have it go along here, along that wet area, and then kind of cut straight across here. We'll probably take those raspberries out and then just scoot back along here. So it would go across the field, giving a little more space to the town office, but still going slightly onto town land. And if that's not something you're interested in, then we could probably squeeze it on just over here. But it seems nice to kind of connect the space. And since it's more than just a school project, I thought it might be of interest to continue to have it on town land. I've also been meeting with the Conservation Commission, who's proposing planting some shade trees and possibly a picnic table down the line they're thinking about somewhere out in one of these areas. So I was thinking it might kind of complement that as well. So that is what I wanted to say. So what I'm looking for, and I want to also see if John has anything to add, but what I'm looking for is I'm happy to answer questions, and then I'm looking for permission to go forward with this on partially on town land. John, do you have anything to add?
Well, first of all, I want to compliment Sarah and Angela Saviano on the work that they've done. It is a project that we've been thinking about for, I think, the past 3 years. And like many things COVID, this was an opportunity for us to actually put it into the works. and has been tremendously exciting and positive. Kids are out there, and it's really combining the outdoors, physical activity, and literacy. So we greatly appreciate if we continue this collaboration that we have between the school and the town.
Thank you, John. And thank you, Sarah. That was a wonderful presentation and a
Thank
great
you.
project from my perspective.
Thank you.
So do we have a motion to?
So, Richard, just before you get to that, may I just interject a second? So,
Yes.
Sarah, just so you're aware, I've actually gone at the town office. I've gone and looked at the property border between the school property and the town property, and actually the edge of your little fruit patch that is closest to the town office, that's actually the border. So if you made a little turn right there and then followed along there, you wouldn't even be. I'm not trying to say it's a wonderful idea, so I'm not trying to discourage you from doing it on the town property. I'm just saying that's actually where the property line is. So if you made a turn to avoid your signs getting pummeled with snow in the winter, you wouldn't even be on town property. The other point I wanted to note is if you did make a turn somewhere in that area, the only thing to be cautious for is the town office has a septic holding tank right there, and we shouldn't be putting any posts over the top of that.
Right. That wouldn't be good.
Yes, I would have to find out exactly where that is. Would Dan be the person to ask about that?
Actually, no. Lisa Berry, our assessor
Okay.
clerk, would be the one to ask.
Okay.
Any-
So maybe we don't need to go onto town land. And I wasn't sure exactly where that line was. Sixth graders are working on finding it currently. But I guess just in case, I guess I'd just like to know if we have the town support, or is this a moot point?
No, I would like to have an official, I personally would like to support it and like to be in the minutes that we do support it, and that you would certainly have permission
Okay.
to continue it on town land. Veranda?
Yes, I'd like to move that the select board endorse this project in the event that it does involve town land, and later will be discussed. I mean, this isn't in the motion. I endorse a motion to support it, and I have something else to say soon.
Okay, so that's a
Okay.
motion to allow this to be built on town land if necessary.
May I read out what I put down for the motion, just to
Yes.
make sure it's what you're trying to convey, Veranda? So I said, Veranda moved that this project is endorsed and permitted on town office property if needed.
Yeah,
Sounds good. Do I have a second on that?
I'll second.
Okay, Rusty seconds it. Is there any further discussion? I have
Yes.
one thing to say, which is I would like to have the story include the story of Guilford land. So if, I mean, I didn't see that in your potential subjects, but if there could be a story about the land that the kids are actually on and how Guilford, how that land came to be, and the Indians, the Native Americans who had that land and so forth, I think that would be very educational. So that's just a suggestion of
That's
an
a good
option
idea.
for subject matter.
Mhm.
Miranda?
Yes, well, later we'll be discussing our goals for the year, and just to speak generally, strengthening ties within the town is one of the goals that Zana and I felt very strongly about.
Right. And this is moving in that direction. So there's a motion on the floor. It's been seconded. Is there any further discussion? Well, I think I'll take the roll then. Zon,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
Rusty,
Aye.
Veranda,
Aye.
Richard, I. There you go, Sarah. Good job. And John,
Thank you.
thank you too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. very
Looking
much.
forward to it.
Okay, the next item on our new business agenda is the Municipal Procedures Act. If I could start just saying a few words about this, Peter, and then you jump in.
Sure.
I was, because we've had a few glitches in our hearings, particularly the format, and because we're all inexperienced hearers in regard to quasi judicial hearings, I was hoping that we can find a policy or a procedure to adapt that would become Guilford's hearings procedure. Peter put a couple of pages up from the statutes that we can use, but I'd like to even research it further to see if there's something that we can find that we can follow along that would give us a more comprehensive map of about the way semi-judicial procedures should operate. So that's what I had to say about it. And Peter, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, as I was sharing with Richard earlier, I also contacted VLCT on this topic, and they really only referred me to, or the select board, I should say, to two things. One thing that they referred us to was their big book of Woof, which all of the select board members have read. And I did share with them at least my personal opinion of this fine piece of literature. And then they also referred me to their model procedural policy that they have, which the select board has adopted, but their model procedural policy is more for the governance of select board meetings, and it's not really for the governance of quasi-judicial hearings. And so I think we're going to be somewhat on our own in trying to figure out the best way to move forward. And they do recommend the select board have some form of procedure to govern quasi-judicial hearings. And Pat Bew, our attorney on the aforementioned matter, has also strongly encouraged it as well. It does seem to make sense. So I think we may have to somewhat forge our own way, referencing the state statute, but then, as Richard said, he wants some put together some guidance on how to actually hold these types of hearings. And so working with the select board on your opinions, and then I would suggest having possibly Pat review it from her legal perspective and make sure that it covers the appropriate matters, since she seemed to have a fairly strong opinion on it.
Yes, and Peter and I are going to continue to research it. So it's a work in progress, because I mean, we may be able to find a model from another town in Vermont. I'm sure that we can.
Yeah.
Who has
I'm sure
that.
we can.
So and I've asked Peter to research it, and I have time to look for it ourselves. So we're looking for a good template that is conducive to Vermont, to small town hearings, and to semi-judicial proceedings. And as Peter said, that Pat will look at it as well. John, did you want to add something?
I guess I'm not sure. I just would be interested to understand maybe the nature. I understand quasi-judicial hearings as small towns, but is this have to do with, I mean, I know what the larger picture is or what the recent picture is. I'm not sure what help you're looking for. I just don't understand.
So I'm looking for, actually how is the evidence presented? How should the evidence be cataloged? I mean, some of that was in the dog book, and I did use that for our hearing. What is the lineup of folks? What is the role of attorneys in these hearings?
Okay, so just
very practical matters such as those.
Okay. Yeah.
And so that we could actually have it as a procedure that we would adopt, and that we wouldn't be out in the dark. They wouldn't be spontaneous, as it were. We would be following the procedure, and that we would also be within state statute.
Yeah, it seems okay. I appreciate that. Struck me.
I think the other thing that Richard somewhat alluded to but didn't say explicitly is, yes, in our obvious recent history, this is related to a dog hearing, but there are other types of quasi-judicial hearings that a select board or a board of civil authority may face. And so I think that this has broader effects across town, because you're more likely to, in the future, to come across, for example, a tax grievance, which is also a quasi-judicial hearing, than we are hopefully to come across another dog hearing like this. And I think Sheila has her hand up, Richard.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sheila.
Yeah, just briefly, I think you're right that you should go to other towns, and I think that Middlesex is often a town that is a great model.
Oh, good.
And I just have this vague recollection that a few years ago, VLCT did a workshop on judicial hearings, quasi-judicial hearings. So I'm surprised that they don't have something on it for other than outs of the big book of woof. Done. Sorry. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Sheila. We'll look into Middlesex and we will look into further VLCT. Zahn, did you want to say something further?
I appreciate the work to try to protect the intentions of the town a little better. What part of this process, as I've seen it go by, is it appears that because it's not very well orchestrated or regulated, we sort of kept getting caught up in these various procedures, people trying to understand. And I think it sounds like that's what you're attempting to do.
I'm trying to avoid getting caught up. And I'm also trying to avoid, of course, liability impact on our town. In other words, we don't want to do something that's wrong, basically. Right? Yeah. Miranda?
I think another advantage of this is that we could share our procedure in advance with anybody who comes before us.
Absolutely.
So they could avoid asking us to do things that are inappropriate.
Good point. Is there any further discussion?
I did hear that there are several towns up in northern Vermont that do have these types of procedures, so I'll look into that.
Thank you, Peter. I appreciate that. Okay, on to the Green River Bridge repairs.
Yes, so as I shared with the select board a couple of weeks ago now, one of the road crew members was heading down to Green River to do some work and fix a ditch down there, and went down with a backhoe. And despite the fact that all of our road crew have been back and forth down there countless times, this individual unfortunately forgot to lower the boom on the back of the backhoe and caused some damage to our precious bridge. And so I filed an insurance claim with our insurance company. They've been really wonderful to work with and very understanding. And in fact, they're working on 3 other bridge claims in other parts of the state, and this is small potatoes compared to what they're working on. So I shared with the select board over the weekend a quote that we got for this work. We were actually suggested by our insurance company because they know that back in 2015 that we did the renovations of the bridge, and they recommended that we approach the company that did that work because of a couple of factors. One, they already have the blueprints on hand and are familiar with the construction of the bridge, but also because of the fact that there are only a small handful of companies in the entire state that are licensed to work on historic bridges. So Danny contacted Wright Construction, who did the work back in 2015. They came down, did an assessment, and provided us with the quote that I shared with all of you. And
so, Peter, do we need 2 motions again to suspend the?
We do. So due
process?
To the fact of the cost of this, the estimated cost. So we were told by Wright Construction they will do their best to keep it within this proposal, and this proposal is $13,650, but they won't know till the final cost till they actually do the work. So just so the select board is aware of that.
So I'm looking for the first motion, which is to I can't remember the verb, suspend the purchasing procedure.
Make an exception to
Make an exception. Do I have a motion for that? Zahn, yes. Okay, do I have a second for that? Veranda, thank you very much. Is there any discussion regarding that? Okay, then I'll take the roll. Veranda?
Aye.
Zahn? Michael?
Aye.
Mr. Marine?
Aye.
Richard? Aye. Okay, so that motion carries. Then I'm looking for a second motion to accept the bid, which is which will be paid by insurance predominantly, I believe, for the repairs to the bridge. Do I have a motion for that?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Michael. Is there a second? Miranda, thank you. Is there any discussion? All right, then I'll take the roll. Miranda?
Aye.
Zahn?
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
Rusty,
Aye.
Richard, aye. That motion carries unanimously. Yay, our beautiful bridge is going to get fixed. On to new
Okay.
business, the
Hey,
DVFiber.
Richard, just for one quick second, just so you are aware, our deductible on this project is $2,500. The rest will be paid by insurance.
Great, thank you for putting that in. That should go in the minutes, by the way.
I will do so.
Thank you. DVFiber representative and alternate appointments. Are you going to
Yep,
speak to that, Zahn, or Peter?
Zahn can speak to this as much as I can.
Okay.
It's now that we've passed town meeting day, DVFiber has requested either new appointments or reappointments of existing representatives to work with the organization. Correct, Zahn?
Correct. Since the DVFiber is technically a municipality, like a waste management district or whatever, each of the towns that are part of it need to reappoint their representative and alternate in this case. There's nothing that says, just so you know, there's nothing that says that it has to be select board members who are appointed. And we are not limited to 1 or 2 or even 3 alternates. So right now we have 1 representative and 1 alternate, but we could go further afield if we're ready.
Okay, may I ask you, Zahn and Michael, are you willing to fulfill those duties again?
I am.
Yeah, I am. I haven't done too much yet, but if you know, I'm willing to be the alternate.
Michael, you will be called on.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint those Zahn Estes as the representative and Michael Becker as the alternate for this. Do I have a second? Rusty seconded. Is there any discussion? Very good. I'll take.
I wonder if, do you see, I mean, I support that slate. I wonder if there would be any advantage to us in encouraging more people in the town to become alternates. I mean, Zahn, do you have an idea about that?
I would recommend we maybe don't need to do it tonight. It can happen at any time. We need to do this point of business tonight, but I think it's a good discussion. Eventually, Guilford will want to have a little organizing committee to start maneuvering this. So getting more people engaged will be the way to go, probably. Yeah.
So I would suggest that each select board member think of somebody to ask who might want to be an alternate. Remember, it's not the representative, it's the alternate. And maybe bring those names forward at our next meeting. Which remember is in 3 weeks, not 2. Okay, thank you. All right, very good. Wait a minute, we haven't voted on that yet. Oh no, do we need to vote on the appointment, Peter? Yes, I think we do. Yes?
Yes, most definitely.
Okay, it's been motioned and seconded. And so I'll take the roll. Veranda?
Aye.
Zahn?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Rusty?
Aye.
Richard? Aye. Thank you. Congratulations, fellas. You're doing a good job. And we appreciate it very much. And it is a very important project indeed for our town. And maybe someday we're going to have fiber. All right, on to old business, the draft audit. It's our duty to approve the audit tonight. Peter, we have, I'm sure, a couple of folks to speak to it. Peter, did you want to speak to it? And our distinguished chair of our Finance Advisory Committee, I'm sure, has something to say.
Well, I mean, I think since Sheila's the chair of the committee, and since they were tasked with reviewing, and she was the one that had some questions, I think I'll just defer to her to begin with. And if there's other questions that need answering, I'm happy to do so.
So, Sheila, we would like to we'd like the premise to be that we either approve or don't approve the audit, right? Given your advice.
So I had a response from a grand total of 1 other member of the Finance Committee, and she and I both approve of the audit as presented. We did have some questions, but they do not relate to the audit. They relate to disposition of funds at some point. All of those questions have been shared with the select board, and they're just for your further consideration.
Great, thank you. So then I need a motion to accept the audit. Zahn, thank you very much. Do I have a second? Veranda, thank you. Is there any further discussion? Okay, I'll take the roll. Veranda,
Aye.
Zahn,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
Rusty?
Aye.
Richard, aye. So we have accepted the audit. Thank you very much. Thank you for all your good work, Sheila, and the work of the Finance Advisory Committee. It's very helpful, and I'm very happy for one that we instituted that we put that committee in place last year, because it's been very helpful in developing the budget and in looking over the audit. So thank you, and please convey the Select Board's thanks to the committee. All right, the annual goals, we're going to put those up. on the
Richard,
board.
before moving on, remember,
Oh,
now that you
sorry.
have approved, we chatted about this earlier today. Now that you have approved the audit, the Select Board, I would recommend that you make a motion to transfer the surplus funds into the two specific reserve accounts.
Okay, do we need those figures exactly in the motion?
Yeah, I was actually just bringing them up as you were mentioning that. I realized I didn't have them in front of me, so this will just take a brief second.
And I also forgot that I added something to the old business, which we need to discuss for a moment too.
Okay. Those two numbers are. Oh. $112,255.59 to the General Reserve Fund, and $176,956.73 to the Highway Reserve Fund.
Do I have a motion for that? I motion. Do I have a second?
Sure.
Thank you, Zahn. Is there any discussion? All right, all those in, Sheila?
So I just want to note for the record that $112,000 addition puts you over the 20% of expenditures, and that needs acknowledging that and putting that on a future agenda for how you're going to spend, or reallocate those funds.
Okay, thank you, Sheila. So Peter, we'll let the minutes show that what Sheila's statement was?
Yep,
Okay.
absolutely.
Thank you. So we have the motion and we have the second, and I will take the roll. Veranda,
Aye.
Zahn,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
Rusty,
Aye.
and Richard, aye. Thank you very much. Good work, everybody, on that. And more money for surplus cannot be a bad thing. I wanted to add on old business B about our hearings. We were able to with the parties involved and our attorney to work out it's not even a compromise, a solution that satisfied everybody, which basically was drop the whole thing. So, and that, to me, that was very happy making, and I hope that it was to you. The parties just felt that they wanted to go no further in that, with that business, with the dog business, which of course had become a human relations issue as much as a dog issue, if I may say so. Zahn, did you want to say something about it?
Yes, thank you for getting to that resolution. I'm just curious if I can be, and I don't know that I can be in this format. Was the impetus to come to this resolution, did that come from the Select Board or from the town administrator, or did that come from the parties involved?
So originally, approximately 3 weeks ago, one of the parties involved made the proposal to the other parties. That offer was declined at that time. The two parties that received that offer initially 3 weeks ago now apparently had reconsidered their position independently, which was the irony of this, that both of the two parties independently reconsidered that offer and approached me to contact the third party to renegotiate that process again. So it took several days, almost a week to negotiate that, but all parties in the end, through a lot of work by our town's attorney, were able to convince the other parties to agree to this resolution.
I'm sorry. Then can someone just speak lightly to the message that we received today, which gives me the impression that a mixed impression.
Well,
that's more for the select board's eyes only.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was a personal opinion from one of the parties.
It wasn't in any way an attempt to, or any kind of.
This was unrelated to the resolution. This is just someone wanting to share information specifically on a private on a private basis with the select board.
Okay, so if I want to understand more, I need to talk to you, Peter, or to Richard.
That's right.
Absolutely.
All right, I will do so. Thank you.
Very good. Okay, on to the select board annual goals. Peter was going to put those up on the screen.
Yep, just a second.
And what we want to do this evening is to approve them or not. I know that Veranda and Zahn have worked on them.
I wondered whether people had an opportunity to look at them.
I did. And now they're going to go up here.
Can you see them?
Yep. So the first goal, or Veranda, would you like to take us through this?
I think, why don't we have Zahn do it, and I will comment on some of the changes.
All right. So just
Zahn, let me know when or which direction to move the page, please.
Thanks very much. Okay, so this document is now kind of a historical document. If not asking you to scroll down, but anyone who wants to look at the document can see that further down there's last year's plan, and then the previous year's plan is below that. So it's this is just a cumulative build on the previous plans. Just a minor adjustments are that it seems to me and Veranda that it would make sense to put a column in for who's going to take care of any of these plans, so that we're all on the same page about any action steps we decide to move forward with. The major changes are, in number one, is that we deleted housing as a priority. Not that it's not a priority, but just that Veranda nor I had a specific action for the select board to take at that point. So we put it over in the edits and suggestions section to keep it high on our minds.
Yes, and just to add on, there was only one area that I could think of that had to do with housing that we could connect with elders. Which is over there in the edits and suggestions. Home Share Vermont is a clearinghouse for elders who want to stay in their homes, who might get somebody capable to come and live with them.
Okay.
Thank you. Then on the second goal, maybe I should go back. Let's step back a second, Peter. So go a little higher up in the goals themselves. There's a paragraph there, just to state that because of COVID last year, we didn't bring regular attention to these goals and visions. And maybe this year we can make a commitment to look at these on a quarterly basis and bring the lessons that we learned during COVID forward and have them inform our talking and our thinking about these goals. That's basically what that paragraph says there.
So
And
perhaps Zahn, that we could have a motion when we go through these, that we would look at these quarterly so that it's in the minutes.
Yeah, okay, great.
And so, one of the, Zahn and I wrote the introduction together, and, we really wanted to acknowledge how many people in the town were motivated to take care of each other, and that I wanted the select board to be aware of that and to have a role in sort of strengthening and carrying forward those ties.
So then, if we go on to the second goal, assuming that the first goal, the people that are involved in the first goal are kind of laid out there. In the second goal, which is legally required communications, we will depend on Peter to keep us in line about that. Social meeting engagements, that's just left there. We hope to clarify those roles. That was something we hoped to do last year, and we've talked about some, but we didn't really make any clear actions. So that just needs some clarification, a discussion point. The third area is about our openness and how we work closely with the various town commissions, committees, and departments. And we added a statement about working closely to maintain consistent relations with our state representative. So there are 4 actions there. Twice yearly reports at select board meetings, which we feel would be a good system. I think it's probably been in existence, but we need to make a schedule and kind of keep to it.
Yeah.
Finance Advisory Committee, thank you for the hard work done last year. We probably want to continue with that. We had talked about a town meeting committee. There was no town meeting this year, but remember we talked about having a committee might sort of just oversee some of the activities of that and help us set that up. So we'd like to establish that and set that up this year. Now, Richard, we just put your name there since you're chair of the select board to make sure that gets done. And then meeting with Sarah Coffey. Select board members should just do that. Sarah will make sure that she's in touch with us, which is fantastic.
Great.
Then the fourth goal is about monitoring the plan. I don't think there are any real changes here, except that we broke it out a little bit more to make sure that we stay focused most primarily on the town garage and the fire department as part of the capital plan. And then there in another section for all other kinds of improvements that come forward, but that we want to maintain a clear focus on the garage and fire department. The fifth is about fostering our collaborations with nonprofit organizations and community organizations here in town. We'd like to have twice yearly reports from those folks as well. We already do in some cases, but maybe there are a few more that we could reach out to. So I think that we're leaning on Peter to help us set those meetings up. And then the select board advocates for resident safety. That's just something we need to keep there all the time, probably.
Right.
As far as traffic in Algiers, that could be traffic in Guilford Center as well, I suppose. Right now it says Algiers. And then as far as emergency planning, we need to make sure that that's kept.
In regard to that one, I would put in the Guilford Center. There is a project. Well, it's in proposal stage for the Guilford Center pedestrian and biking safety audit.
Okay. Yeah, actually, I was just going to bring that exact thing up. I think that would be great to add to it. So now that grant has been approved, and now that town meeting day and the budget is over, we need to start working on putting together an RFP for that. But that certainly falls under that. Zon, I would, and Veranda, I would also add under that final category, just that to include the emergency management director under that, in working with the select board on preparedness as well.
So instead
can we count on someone to put those edits in, those additions in?
Sure. So instead of the town administrator, are you saying there would say the emergency director?
I think that's more appropriate. Yes.
Okay. So all right. So it really, in this case, in our lucky case, it's the same thing, but we need to change the initials. Yeah. Okay. The acronym. Okay.
I just since you put so much work into making this clear, that's why I suggested it.
So my question is now, do we need to pull out this and make a motion when we want to have these, these twice yearly reports? Should that be in the minutes as a motion, Peter?
No, I don't think that needs to be a motion. I mean, the select board already has biannual reports from the various commissions. Mm-hmm. So I think it can fall under that. And that didn't require any form of motion. I think the select board can just state, we want XYZ to happen. Say every June and December, we want to hear a report from such and such groups and
Okay.
the work they do in Guilford.
All right, well, then that information should get translated into the work calendar that's in the Google Docs.
Mhm. And
Sure.
Richard, I wanted to add one more just point of attention. Last year, some of our commissions began working on the municipal engagement for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I think, especially in the light of these times, it would be useful to find a way for the select board to work on keeping these issues alive.
Okay, well, that should be in the minutes too, Peter. So if you'd let the minutes be very clear about what's come out of this discussion in regard to the
Absolutely.
timing of the committees and the diversity and initiative that we need to keep track of, because otherwise
Yes.
they're too easily gotten away from. And then I think that I, as the chair, could write a report, a progress report in regard to how we're just doing on our goals. I wrote the report that went into select board. Perhaps that should be a semi-annual report, just a progress report on how we're doing. And you could put my name in there to do that. And then we should obviously try to find the vehicles to make this public throughout the town. I mean, to get it circulated throughout the town. I try my best to make sure that the town residents know that we do. The select board does have annual goals, and now we want to do that. Plus, make sure that we report on the annual goals in a timely way in regard to our progress. Yeah, Zon.
I would recommend, Richard, that you just do that in the Gazette. I think
Okay.
it's a really
Yeah,
smart way to just do that.
I will do that.
Many people read that, I think.
Yeah.
Do
I saw
we-
that Sheila had her hand up. Oh,
Okay, sorry.
But let Zon and Veranda finish first.
okay.
I just
No.
wanted to ask if there should be, do we need to, we'll just leave it up to Peter to schedule quarterly chances for us to review this at a select
Yes.
board. So it'll be on our docket in a quarterly
Yeah.
way. Okay. We don't need to add that or anything. Okay.
Right.
No.
Okay. Did Veranda did you want to say something?
No,
Veranda?
I was going to say the same thing that John said.
Okay, great.
So
Sheila?
my question is related, I think, to number 4, the capital plan.
Yeah.
And you discussed the volunteer fire department, but if I recall correctly in town meeting, the volunteer fire department raised their own $35,000 independent of the town's capital plan for their own, to be, what I interpret is to be independent about their own building plan. And so I'm wondering what the select board has to do with that now. And because
No,
it's not built into the fire department, it's not built into our current capital plan.
Actually, it is. It's just that the select board felt it was important to separate that out from the fire department appropriations request, because the select board did move last year that they were going to retain that in the select board capital plan, and that when the time arises that the fire department trustees wish to use those funds, they need to request access from the select board to do so.
I still don't other than authorizing use of funds, how is it built into the capital plan? Is that it's not a town asset. So I'm trying to understand how it figures into the capital asset inventory, maintenance and repairs.
Sure. Okay. I see your point with that.
Yeah, I agree with Sheila. I don't see how we're really involved with fixing the roof. I mean, we're just offering up funds, but they choose how to get it done.
So what is
There's
this?
conditions.
Is there some action that you're suggesting we should be taking, Sheila?
I don't think it has anything to do with the capital plan. I think you're just maintaining a separate Guilford Volunteer Fire Department reserve fund for building, over which the town has the authorization to, I mean, you don't even have any control over authorizing it. When they ask for it, they get it, right?
Okay. So we
Correct.
can
Like the
take it
fire
out, and
department.
then we can take it out of the goals.
Yeah, I think it should be taken out.
Yeah, let's take it out. Okay,
One last quick point I wanted to make, because I think it was a very good point that Zahn made when we went through this process last year. Is, and I think we lost sight of it just because of COVID, but remember that this is a living document for the select board.
Right.
So what you approve tonight does not mean, say in July when we discuss this again, or late June, that it doesn't change. Your goals and priorities may change over the next quarter, or you may accomplish some of the things out of this document as it is right now.
Therefore, I'd like a motion to approve these annual goals that Veranda and Zahn put some good time in and good thought into.
I'll make a
Zahn,
motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Michael seconded. Is there any further discussion? Yes, Veranda.
I just wondered whether any other select board members had any concerns about any of these goals or suggestions that we didn't incorporate.
I thought they were very well done. Great. So now we have a motion and a second, and I'll take the roll. Veranda?
Aye.
Zahn?
Aye.
Rusty?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
And Richard? Aye. Thank you very much. And we have our new annual goals for the coming year. Yes, Zahn?
I just because of the conversation that Sheila the points that Sheila just brought up, I feel like there needs to be, for me, perhaps, I need a further understanding about the standing of various, the capital fund and various parts inside of it, and who has authorities over certain things, because we made a pretty conscious decision, I thought, about the fire department fund for particular reasons, and it seems like we've just undone that this evening. And I want to make sure that we all understand.
Well, we haven't undone anything. We took it out of the annual goals, the reference to it in the annual goals. But I think that your point is well taken. And if we could go through at our next meeting the capital plan, it might maybe a very good time to review that. So let's do that. Okay, that goes on the agenda for the next meeting. Does that satisfy your thought, Zahn?
I just need to hear more. I just always need to learn. Thank you very much.
Good.
And Zahn, if you wanted to, I mean, we could also do a conference call between you and Richard and myself just to have a chat about this, if that would help too.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Veranda?
Yes, I mean, there were aspects of these goals that needed people, either select board members or somebody, to help sign on to. And my hope is that in the next 3 weeks, when we meet again, that people who hadn't signed up to help shepherd these along would have the opportunity to choose what they would like to be involved with.
Okay, so that's something that we should, each of the select board members should be thinking of in regard to how can we push this along. Okay, on to finance. Who's doing the warrants?
Oh, I'm doing the warrants.
Well, there we go.
Let me I just have to, okay, I have the warrants. Okay, I move that we pay the following warrants. Payroll week, March 14th, 2021 for the sum of $5,971.36. Payroll week 3/21/21 for $7,551.68. Expense warrant 2017 for the sum of $28,769.47. Expense warrant number FW17 for the sum of $230.50 for a total of $42,522.98.
Do I have a second?
Zahn.
Zahn seconded? All right,
He did.
thank you. Is there any discussion?
I just wanted to briefly say the primary expenses out of this came from our quarterly insurance payment, our final payment to the professional auditors, and several substantial purchases of gravel and sand in the preparations for mud season.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Any further discussion? Okay, Veranda,
Aye.
Zahn,
Aye.
Rusty,
Aye.
and Michael,
Aye.
and Richard? Aye. Okay, very good. The warrants are taken. Do we have any communications, etc., Peter?
We have no communications. Your actions from your previous meeting is Richard was elected as chair and Veranda was elected as vice chair. The select board readopted the rules of procedure for the new fiscal year. The select board chose the Brattleboro Reformer as the newspaper of record. The select board made a slew of annual appointments for town officials. You approved the posting of roads for mud season. I was to email a conflict of interest questionnaire to all select board members. Veranda and Zahn were to present the select board annual goals at this meeting. And I was to share the audit documents with the finance committee members. Actions taken from this meeting are you made an exception, several exceptions to our purchasing policy. You approved the purchase of new radios for the road crew. You approved the Guilford Story Walk for Guilford Central School. You approved repairs to the covered bridge. You appointed Zahn as the representative and Michael as alternate representative to DVFiber. And lastly, you approved your annual goals. There are a few other things that I didn't have a chance to note down. I will do so when completing the minutes, things to follow up on at the next select board meeting, and they will be included in the minutes when I'm finished with them.
Okay, thank you. All right, it must be that time again. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Veranda, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Don, Rusty seconded. Let's get Rusty in here. Okay, Rusty seconded. Rusty, do you have anything further to say?
No, I'm good.
Good. Okay. Any further discussion by anyone? I should take the roll then. Veranda,
Aye.
Zahn,
Aye.
Rusty,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
Richard, aye. Well, the meeting is adjourned, and it's so nice to see you when we have 3 weeks now till our next one. I'll miss you terribly.